trains are unfortunately notorious spots for sexual predators, as we often hear molesters or perverts targeting women passengers on board.
I was saying no, and he wouldn't get off of me.
And I started to ask him to stop.
And I remember waking up and opening my eyes, and it wasn't my boyfriend at all.
Allegedly raping, outraging the modesty, and abusing the girl at a house in Tanjung Minyak.
No 3 times and then a yes isn't a yes. Respect when someone says no for the first time. In my opinion, it's basically an agreement to participate in a sexual activity. I can't remember a time where they were like, you have to ask your partner if this is okay. This constitutes as X, Y, and Z. Before being sexual with someone, you need to know if they want to be sexual with you too. It's also important for you to be honest with your partner about what you want and what you don't want. I have never received any formal consent education. Consenting and asking for consent are all about setting your personal boundaries and respecting those of your partner. Never heard of it until the end of college. First of all, before you do anything, both of you must agree to have sex every single time for it to be consensual. Without consent, sexual activity, including oral sex, be considered as sexual assault or rape. My dad kind of taught me about when you should say no, when you should avoid a situation, defend yourself. It doesn't matter if you've hooked up before or even if you've said yes earlier and you want to change your mind, you're allowed to say stop at any time. Your partner needs to respect that. My parents actually thought my brother, before doing something, you have to get their consent, you have to get their approval before making the next move. Consent is never implied by things like your past behavior, what you wear, or where you go. Sexual consent is always clearly communicated. There should not be any questions or mystery. My mother always tells my brother to respect a woman's decision when she says no. It is a no, even though that no was told with a laugh. Silence is not consent. And it's not just important for the first time when you're with someone. Couples who've been together for many years can also say no when they're not interested. Just because you start something in the middle and they can change their minds, so you gotta ask again, are you okay with this? Can we keep going? Anyone can be a victim, no matter their gender, sexual orientation, or age. But certain groups of people are more likely than others to experience sexual assaults in their life. It sickens me how many people don't know that they can say no or know what yes is. Women, especially women of color, LGBT identified people, and people with developmental disabilities are more likely to experience sexual assault over the course of their lifetime. Sexual violence doesn't happen in one single way. There doesn't need to be a weapon involved, and the victim doesn't need to have fought back, screamed, or said no repeatedly. Just because somebody is your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever doesn't mean that they're always up for it. Most sexual assault doesn't happen by strangers in dark alleyways. Often, it's someone the victim knows or even a romantic partner. I wouldn't want someone doing things to me, if I can't consent to it. Let's say if I'm drunk or something. Takes advantage of me. I think consent when you're with somebody isn't something that necessarily needs to be verbally spoken. And you have to sit down and talk about it beforehand. I think you can kind of just read the situation. I think you should just ask the question straight up before you try to do anything. I don't think you should just jump into something without any certainty. I think guys and girls should know when you should say stop and how far you could go. You don't have to be bothered about who you're offending. That is your body. You can decide on what you want and what you don't want. Anytime, any place. Don't do things to people that they don't want done to them. If you don't want to, you don't have to. If you want to say no, say no.